good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Phil Carew Show 2.0. I have a very, very special guest here. It's Phil Moulton, and also author and fellow martial artist. Welcome to the Phil Carew Show, Phil.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me. Great pleasure. Put my glasses on so I can see you. There you go.
It's your mic, Phil. I think you might have something on the mic because can you?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. How's that? Is that any better?
Good evening, Daz.
Can
Welcome
you hear
to
me
the
there,
Phil
Phil?
Carew Show, Phil.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me, Phil? Okay.
It's the audible. Sorry, folks. Hold on one moment. Let's see. Oh, is that better, Phil?
I can hear you perfectly, yeah.
Typical, folks. I knew they would have a bit of fun today. Oh,
It always happens when I'm on. Technology in me doesn't work.
Well, do you know what it is, Phil? I think because your past experience is trying to test us, isn't it, Phil? You know, it's one of those things. It's like it's trying to test us today. I thought, well, no, it's not beating us.
No.
Anyway, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Daz and Wayne Hunt and Edward Bishop. My goodness, wow, we've already got some folks on here already. Wow. Yeah, as I said, everyone, I have a very special guest here. Those who have only just tuned in, apologies on the other technicalities there. I'm not sure what quite happened there. But I have a very special guest here if you only just tuned in. I have the one and only Phil Moulton, and he is also not just an author, but also a fellow martial artist on there. Now, what I'd like to ask you in terms of your background. Now, a lot of the people out there, I know I've posted it out there already, but some people there who've only just tuned in and not quite sure part of your background, Phil, is that as being a bodyguard for public figures such as Whitney Houston, what was it like in being able to be in the presence of these public figures? Because I know a lot of the time, you know, being professional and being a bodyguard there. Now, a lot of people, most of them, they feel like they're starstruck and they're like they're not quite sure how to react. But with yourself as a professional, what was it like in being able to deal with certain situations? Because it must have got quite challenging at times. Because you know, when you get some people where they get too close. You know, was there any encounters where you've had to say to a few people, do you mind, you know, standing at arm's reach, please? Because, you know, some people, they don't mind, you know, have people come up to them. But there'll be times when you can sort of sense and see that, hold on one moment, you know, you need to be at arm's reach. Because it gets like that, doesn't it? You know, where you can foresee it. You can see these situations where before it occurs.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes down to, Phil, you know, the people that you're working with. It's really important to do a load of research on these people to find out exactly what they want, because we've got to remember one massive important thing is the celebrities that I work with and some of the dignitaries as well. They need the social media. They need people coming towards them. And if you're one of those protection officers who gets a little bit paranoid and, you know, they get a little bit overzealous, you're gonna cause everyone a bit of a problem. So it's about reading situations and basically not getting too stressed out about it. It is stressful, I won't deny it, but at the end of the day, it comes down to experience and looking at situations and trying not to overreact. That's the main thing, because some people tend to do that. But,
right, and rightly so. What was the sort of first sort of job or sort of encounter in being a bodyguard? Because I know it's not a lot of people tend to feel or they think they know, you know, because when they see the perception that, you know, there's a stereotypical Frank Farmer with Whitney Houston in her film The Bodyguard. You're going to be there. You're not going to be a martial artist where you're going to start throwing knives at targets.
No. Most people get disappointed when I turn up, to be quite honest, Phil, because you expect something different, and then I rock through the door and they think, "Oh, good grief, what's this?" But I'm not Kevin Costner. I wish I was Kevin Costner. I'm sure my wife wished I was Kevin Costner as well, but no. You know, people have got their own perceptions of what we do in a job, and you know, it's what we call horses for courses, isn't it? This is my 28th year as a civilian operator, because I am civilian, not ex-military or ex-police or anything. I'm quite proud of that. So people have got a different perception of when you turn up. I mean, I'm 5'9", Phil, on a good day when it's raining, and you know, people look at you. And to be quite honest, I don't even talk about the martial arts.
Really?
No. When we're working, obviously people get your CVs, and you know, a lot of these celebrities have never even looked at your CV. They won't even look at your CV. So they're employing you for your skills as a protection officer rather than your skills on the mat. Because if you know, like the films glorify what we do. It's 95% very boring, and that 5% is well, whatever it is. But in the end, it's a lot of preparation work. It's counter surveillance. You're doing a lot of intelligence driven work. So there's a lot of research that goes into the job. It's not as glamorous as it looks, but it is good fun sometimes.
And there was, oh my goodness, wow. You know, there was a moment when I noticed, because I know it's sort of more a rest in peace, you know, Pele, you know, the great one of the greatest footballer players of all time.
Yeah.
Now, what was that sort of engagement between yourself? That must have been great to be able to have that kind of openness with him, because you know, you get a lot of the time where most people, they think, well, why would they want to speak to me, you know, for this sort of period of time? Because most people, they must realize that, you know, he's just a human being, just like you and I, you know, and he's open-minded. You know, he's more entitled to be able to want to speak to you. You know, you're there, you're doing your job, and he wants to be able to sort of mingle and be able to socialize with you, you know, like any other person would.
Yeah, 100%, Phil. You're quite correct there. You know, I was with Pele 3 times. I've looked at the great man. My first time was 98. I was with him for 4 days, and they don't speak to you all the time. And you know, you're there to do a job of work, and you're more planning and everything. But there's obviously on the pictures that I've sent to you, there was a picture of me and Pele laughing. And we was actually sharing a joke, and that was previous from the job in 1998, and we did this job in 2007. And he actually remembered something that had really happened that had cheesed me off. We had a chauffeur, God bless him, he's passed away, inshallah. And basically we would start for 4 days, and these paparazzi people were a complete pain. I won't swear, they were a pain. And they were following it. They knew exactly where we were. And so we were harassed for these autograph hunters, like we were saying before. And he got fed up. And then the last day, I got into Manchester Airport and was walking through customs and everything. And these lads turned up, he gave me a flea in the rear. And as we got to customs, the chauffeur said, "Can I come with you?" And I said, "Yeah, of course you can." He parked the vehicle, drove up, and we walked up to customs to pass Pele over to the people he needed to be passed on to. And the chauffeur gave Pele a newspaper and asked him to sign it. And it must have been my face, because I don't have the best of faces at the best of times. So I must have looked completely growler. And when they got back into the car, I spoke to her and said, "I can't believe he's just done that. 4 days we were harassed." And there's a picture which I'll share with you. And me and Pele, we were laughing. And he said, "I remember your face when that chauffeur gave me that piece of paper." He said, "You were really," and I won't say what he said, but we had a bit of a chuckle about it.
Oh, bless. No, it's great to have that, because this is like, part of why I do the show, Phil, you know, and just to let the audience and other people that are new come in. Oh, yeah. Hello, Karen. Hello, Karen Campbell, Bob Sykes, Alan Cook, and Daz Sirat. And Ian, and even Edward Bishop. Wow. We've got a number of people on there today.
Brilliant.
And just to give a shout out, I didn't forget, Simon Elves and his partner, I haven't forgotten, and Baz from Sky, both of them in Chelmsford, Essex. So I haven't forgotten. Bear with me one moment. Ooh. I'll do a shout. Bear with me one moment, folks. Make sure I've got. Right, here we go. Typical signal. Whoa, it's a signal. Whoa, the universe. Oh,
we're back again.
Yeah, back again, folks. I do apologise about that. And Baz from Sky in Chelmsford, Essex, and also Simon Elves and Donna Blake. I haven't forgotten, so I thought I'd get that shout out in. So if you haven't seen this live, go back on the replay. I did keep my word. So if you see this, I'll do a shout out for you. And welcome to the Phil Carew Show. If you've only just tuned in on the Phil Carew Show 2.0. Yeah, as you mentioned, you had this really rare discussion with Pele, Phil.
Yeah.
But what was it like also moving on to different sort of areas of work? Because I know you've mentioned, the celebrities, but you've also been in areas where they've got bands as well, haven't you? Like Take That, and all these other ones there. How close do you get? Do you get close to the point of where you're actually shoulder to shoulder, there, or do you have to have a certain sort of policy where you have an agreement between both you and the actual the celebrity or the client that you've got, where they'll say, "Well, look, do you mind if we have this amount of?" So obviously you need some sort of personal space.
Yeah, of course you do.
Because you don't want to be
in the face.
That close.
But, everything is complete. You can't say one job is completely the same as another. I mean, if you look at some of the bands I've looked I've done work with, we did Status Quo many years ago in a castle, an outside event, and they were in a castle, and we had to bring them down to the stadium where they were performing. So I had Rick Parvo, Francis Rossi in my car, and I don't know if you remember, Rick Parvo was a very, very massive fan on vehicles, and at the time he had an Audi, and we was talking. He was actually late going on stage because we was talking about it. So you do get very close to people. Some people want you further away, some people want you near, but you've always got to be near enough that you can deal with things if something does go a little bit sideways. But that's what we're there for. We're there to sort of like be in the background, be sort of like arm's view, if we want to call it that way, and basically just be around, but not too close. You know, you've got to read the situation. You've got to be able to give them comfort, but also give them their area. You know, you are toe to toe with a lot of these people. You sat next to them. Sometimes you sat in a car, you sat in an aircraft with them. It doesn't really matter, but you know, they're just people, and you're there just to support and help them. You know, don't get
It's
started.
brilliant to hear these stories, Phil, because you know a lot of the times, I think sometimes you know it's down to the media how they want to perceive people,
Yeah,
not just with yourself being there and the actual celebrity or the public figure that you're with, because of the
yeah,
times, you know, behind closed doors, obviously that's between you and the client. You know,
yeah,
no one's gonna, you know, leak out anything, you know, because there's always going to be people where you know, there's always going to be what any news that they receive will give out that in, you know, away from their presence is going
yeah,
to be news for everybody else.
yeah.
And you know, have you ever encountered where the point where you've had to actually get to a position where you thought, no, that's not on, you know, you've had to say, well, look, do you mind coming back another time? Or do you mind, because obviously down to the client's wishes, you've had
Yeah.
to sort of instigate that kind of level of a kind of management, you know, between
Yeah,
conflict management, you know, between other
yeah,
people and the client, because there'd be a point where it can get quite intense, and you can, like you said, you have to read it. There's certain things where you think, well, hold on a minute, it looks like my client's going to get upset because this person's getting to a point of where, hold on a moment, no, they're getting too close and they're not feeling comfortable, and you can sort of see it and sense it that your client or that public figure, whoever it may be at the time,
mm.
feels uncomfortable, and it must be one of those things over time.
It
You've
is. Yeah,
experienced.
again, you've read the situation correctly there. You're reading things all the time. You're looking at your body language of the people that you're looking after, because body language, it plays a massive part in what we do. Because a lot of the times you don't speak to people. You're looking at NVCs, non-verbal communications. You're looking at how your principals are reacting. You're looking at how the people are reacting around your VIP as well. And there'll be times when you will get, and we're doing some training at the moment where we call it a duress word, where somebody gets a little bit stressed out, and I say, "Do you want the red pen?"
Oh,
And
brilliant.
that's a call sign to say, "I'm not happy." A lot of the people, we discuss it very, very quickly, because you don't meet these celebrities or these people up until sometimes when you're going to be doing the job. It's different when you're doing witness protection, because obviously you've got to put things in place for that, because that's a little bit more detail, should we say. But
Wow.
when you're looking after celebrities, what you probably get like a 5 or 10 minute slot when you sat in the car with them, and you're going through things and you're trying to extract information out of them, because we've got to bear in mind they've got a job to do like we have. They're just doing a job of work, which we're doing a job of work. It's just different. So we have to get that even balance where people feel comfortable, and they feel comfortable with us, and just say, "I'm not happy with that," or they look at us, or you know, they'll say something, or hand movements. They don't always just shout help. If somebody shouts help, you've got a problem.
That's very true. I think it's great that you're able to do that. You know, you have that sort of level of trust and great communication, because a lot of the time, you know, they never had this in the past. What have you noticed that a lot of the changes in being in sort of different tactics and methods of being able to sort of encounter these type of situations? You know, have you noticed what the sudden changes have been from the past and what you've
Yeah,
seen now
I mean,
in your training?
it's changed dramatically, Phil. It really has changed dramatically from years ago, where you didn't do the selfies, you didn't engage with the principal. You could be sat in a vehicle for 5 or 6 hours and you don't even have a conversation with people. You know, because at the end of the day, it's down to protocol, it's down to etiquette, because these people are either doing other things, so we've got to give them their privacy. But now it's become a little bit more acceptable, where the close protection operator will be more sort of integrated. In our days, years ago, it was we were like growlers, should we say, but very, very professional. We weren't there to cause problems. We're there very basically just to give them that reassurance. And it has changed. I mean, the laws have changed. Like, in the UK, we're not allowed to carry any firearms. We're not allowed to carry anything. Overseas, people will carry whatever they need. All the bad guys, even in the UK, the bad guys will carry weaponry where we're not allowed to carry anything. Goodness. So it comes down to all your preparation work, and you're constantly looking. It is draining. I won't deny it. But that's the job that we've undertaken, and that's what I enjoy doing. Well, I've come off the circuit a little bit. I mean, people keep saying, why have you come off it? And that's another story, shall we say. But it has changed. It has changed dramatically.
Oh my goodness! You've got a lot of fans out there, Phil.
Me?
Yeah, you've got Karen Campbell, Wayne Hunt, Bob Sykes, Daz Sirat, Alan Cook, Edward Bishop. All the folks are like, I bet we can't wait to see you on the UK martial arts show, just to let everyone know. With the actual book as well itself, how did you come about being able to get to that level where you've gone from being not just a martial artist and teaching, and being a bodyguard, and having that sort of leap between the two into being an author? That must have been a great achievement. How long were you thinking of, right, I've got so much to offer and so much information to compile into a book?
It's a strange thing, Phil, because I never sort of recognised myself as an author, even though people say, Phil, you're an author. Excuse me. And I say, oh, I'm not. I just wrote a book. But you wrote a book, so you're an author. So the book took me 10 years. It's not that I'm a slow writer. It's just that every time me and my wife went on holiday, and again, if you've been on my Zooms, I apologise for repeating myself. It's not that I've lost the plot. It's just it's the truth, and that's all I can tell you. So every year, me and my wife went on holiday, and I love sunbathing, but get bored. So I used to get a scribble book, and I used to write these things and everything, and I wrote all my memoirs. And I was looking after a couple of footballers years ago, and there was quite a heavy spate of armed robberies around Manchester, and I got involved looking after 11 footballers. There was some quite horrific attacks on a couple of footballers' wives. Giselle was held up against knife point. So we had to go up against these people, shall we say.
Goodness.
But, it was a job. So basically I had a load of books, and I started writing things, put it into a Word document. And it was a gentleman, I'm going to call him Ian McHarg. He's on my LinkedIn, an absolute superstar. He's an author himself. He's a legend as a PTI. And he contacted me, Phil, and he said, I'd like to do a thing on your martial arts. I thought, me? Yeah, okay. Anyway, he did this online thing, which I'll share with you. And he said, have you ever thought of writing a book? And I sent him the whole manuscript. Never met him. And within 4 months, he'd turned it around, he'd published it. And 2018, this is what came out. He's taken quite a lot out because you've got 2 books there, Phil. So I've got this book, and I've got another book which is due to come out soon, hopefully. So it's, everyone's got a book in them. I always say that, and just scribble the notes down. You can do a lot of things that easy. But I'm dead proud of it, and it's something that I pass on to people and just say, everyone can do something, just never give up.
That's amazing, because there comes a time. I think it's about timing, isn't it, Phil? Because several years ago, you've never dreamt in a million years that you'd write a book or get a book compiled together. Because most of the time, you hear people, they must have so many experiences and stories to tell. But they've got it all. We've all got it in here. And in here, memories, heart and mind. And if you're not able to capture those memories and those moments and put it to paper, or even as a form of like an archive for storage for future reference, where you're leaving like a legacy, of what things 100%. That you've done, because sometimes you never know. You know, I was just saying this to a few people before. When you don't express anything or what's happening in life, or even sharing information, sometimes I even, like, before, you know, past tense and even present tense, you get all these great stories that you've remembered from the past, and even sort of like even current stories that's just happened.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, wouldn't that be great to share that with certain people? And, you know, this is a kind of platform and show where I love sharing. You know, this is why I do it, Phil, you know, and even the audience out there. And I think most of the time, most people don't get enough recognition for it. And this is why I love doing what I do.
Yeah.
And it'd be great, you know, everyone out there, if you're not sure, once again, if you've only just tuned in, Phil Moulton, you know, an actual a well accomplished martial artist and bodyguard, and also now an author as well. And, you know, tell us a little bit about your martial arts as well, because we've noticed, you know, I've done a little bit on my homework, and I've noticed you moved location now. You know, you've got a new area of space to
basically I was brought up in Middleton, Manchester, which is North Manchester, and I started back in 1970 with some really good martial artists in those days, and I've just kept going all the way through. So I do shukukai karate, and I've trained constantly, still train. I mean, I get up in the morning, I'm like Norman Wisdom, if you've ever remembered Norman Wisdom, I creak and I shake and everything. I'm all over the show, but I still train. I've got a small, very, very small class. When I used to have my classes years ago in Middleton, they were quite large. We had, at one point, over 100 students. It was phenomenal, but then things happen in life. You move on and move to different locations, so it's difficult to re-establish another karate class, especially traditional karate.
Of course.
And it's, you know, it's what I've done for my career, and, you know, it's helped me. Like I put in my book here. I mean, my book helped me. My karate helped me get through some horrible times. I mean, when I speak to people as well, when we go through like the book and the documentary, you speak to so many people who've gone through bad things, like they've been bullied, they've been harassed and everything. And every single person, about 10 people, there'll probably be about 7 people out of them 10 people who've been bullied, one form or another, whether it been at home, whether it been at school, whether it been in work. And so this, for me, was a way of auditing myself, you know, to get it out there and sort of like help people and say, you know, I had the crap kicked at me, but sorry, I had
That's right. No, this is
probably, but as a young kid, I got dragged up. I got a good beating and everything, and, you know, and I learned my skills. And then basically from there, so from being bullied, I ended up looking after people who were bullied, because all these people, I'm reading all these little things.
What's he like? Oh, Bob, we've got a name for him, by the way, Phil.
Say again, sorry.
Yeah, Renshi Daz Dirat. We've got apparently Neil Palmer has now labelled or named a new superhero in the martial arts, in the UK martial arts show. Daz Dirat, you're known as Banana Man with your banana nunchucks.
Oh, I thought you meant me, though, because they can't use nunchakus.
Yeah, he's got banana nunchucks. Apparently, they're yellow.
Oh, good. Yeah. I hope don't hurt him anyway.
He's getting it, he said. Neil Palmer's getting. Oh, you two, you're funny. Oh my goodness. Oh, right. Yeah. What was it that got you into martial arts? Was it more of an interest, a hobby, or was it something that you thought, right, when you were younger, you know, like some people, they're either born into it, you know, through family members, or you've got other people where you've been introduced to it through family members?
It was a combination of both, and it was a book as well, because I was bullied. I come from a single parent family. Didn't have an awful lot of money at that time. My mum was doing the best that she could. So basically, I got a book, and it was a friend of mine who started karate at the same time as me, and he's still going, I think. I'm not sure. Not spoken for a long, long time. Maybe we will do one day. And we started karate together. And WAG school, did the normal things. For me, Phil, I could have gone very, very quickly the wrong way. So karate was a discipline for me. And it gave me a lot of discipline, a lot of focus. And it gave me something to hold on to. Reading a book, it was daft really, because that's what I've actually wrote a book now. I've been starting karate from a book, because remember, and I can still remember that it was an order. It was the book Teach Yourself Karate by an order. And I got it from John Menzies. I mean, people my age will remember John Menzies, which was now W.H. Smith. I remember going on holiday with my mum in Mallorca, and I had this daft book, and I'm trying to look at this. I must have been a right buffoon. But for me, I enjoyed it and I learned it. I've had a couple of mere scrapes as well, trying to practice it and thinking, I'm not going to do that one again. It didn't work. But it's, it's been a wonderful career for me, karate, and it's helped me get to where I am in the close protection industry, I think. That not the fighting side of it, not the kumite or anything, but the focus and the discipline, it's helped me. Really has.
How do you feel in the way you see people perceive martial arts? Because you do get some people when they talk about it, where obviously most of us as fellow martial artists out there, if they haven't actually done any form of martial arts, have you noticed that most stereotypes would be like, I was talking about this on my last episode with Neil Palmer,
right?
That when you get a lot of people, when they usually the Bruce Lee noises, with a wah kind of noise, or they kind of thing, where you hear that, with the karate, the stereotypes of where you've got Cobra Kai now, there's some realism in it, but there's also obviously that's a film and it's a series, going on, but I think most of the time you hear somebody that says straight away martial arts, and you've noticed something, they're probably doing a different form or discipline, and they'll call it karate. And have you ever corrected anyone when you said, actually, no, that's not karate, I know what karate is because I do it?
A few times. But it was a funny story when you talk about people making funny noises. I looked after a football manager many years ago who had some serious problems. And the actual football team, when he used to come out when he was training, they all used to come past me and go, "What?" And that was my name. It was never Phil. It was "What?" Bruce Lee. So I don't know if they expected me to answer that. There was a couple of other choice names that got called, as you could imagine. But "What?" was the favourite for Mr. Steve Keane and Eric Black. Morning, "What?" I said, I'll answer to anything as long as you pay me. And you don't swearing on either. You have to have a bit of a balance and all, haven't you? Some people get a little bit pricey about it, a little bit precious. Karate's, people have got their own opinions, Phil, about karate and martial arts and Thai boxing and everything else. If you enjoy it and you benefit from it, who cares? All these people going about, I'm this and I'm that. Do you enjoy it? Do you learn from it? Do you benefit from it? If you do, great, brilliant. I don't get precious about things where people say, my style's better than yours. There was a story many years ago, I don't know who actually said it, and it could have been Bruce Lee or somebody. If somebody close your eyes and you say, what style of karate's just hit you in the face with a punch? Was it Wado, Shotokan or Shukakai? You'd never know because your eyes are shut. And a punch is a punch, a kick is a kick. That's what they said. And, to be quite honest, I just sort of enjoyed what I enjoyed. I mean, I'm really, really thankful to some of the people out there that I've met because I never really went to these martial art events. I mean, my wife used to say to me, why don't you go and start going to these events? And it's because of the job, it makes you quite...
Of course.
Say again?
Yeah, of course, yeah. You tend to feel it's like it will be my first time, so we're both I'll be going there myself with my eldest son, but I understand when you go to these events, Phil, especially if you haven't been, and then you've been wanting to go and you meet different people. I think it's great when you do meet people, you know, in person, because this is, I mentioned this to previous guests on the show, in the Phil Carew Show 2.0, where it's so different, where when you're interacting with people and we're talking like this, it's the second best thing as it would be as if you're in person.
Exactly.
So when you meet the person in person, it's different because you can't shake their hand unless you're in person, and you can't pat them on the back or congratulate them or anything like that, you know, and pass over sort of different things. And then it's that kind of mutual respect that you have, you know, it's different when you're face to face, you know, that different form of communication. I remember with sometimes the technology, I must say, it has got its advantages like this, because post-COVID, without this was the second next best thing to actually being able to communicate with everyone. And I think this is great as well. Yes, I must admit, it has got its disadvantages with the technological stuff as well, and the signal and everything. But, you know, second to none, you know, being able to meet people, even communicate like this, and then when you do meet people in person, you know,
you broke the barrier.
You have, you know, it's like one of those one of the best icebreakers you can have, isn't it?
It is,
when you have something like that, and then you don't feel as uncomfortable, you feel more you know, you're in your comfort zone to be able to feel that when you meet people in person, you know, rather than just like what we are now, you know, having during this interview and doing the show, more and more people more likely to feel that you think, oh, hang on, actually, I've built quite a good sort of rapport with these people, and more likely to be able to even befriend them, you know, because in person, because you've built up quite a good sort of formed a lot of friendships with people that are going to be in the UK martial arts show. And even before that, you know, before the shows have started, how did you manage to get in contact with some of the other fellow martial artists that are watching now? You know, was it through other events before the UK martial arts show, or was it a point of where you might have just met each other sometimes in person? Because I know I had a little quick story with Wayne Hunt. Wayne Hunt, and we actually, I'm not sure if you'd seen our first ever episode, we actually met in a superstore, B&Q in Basildon.
Wow.
Yeah, we met in B&Q Basildon in Basildon, Essex, without even knowing who we were at the time. So it's funny how life, you know, positions itself.
You're meant to be into it. That's one of the things. I mean, I got into this last year. I was working on the Commonwealth Games at the time, and I got speaking to a chap called, excuse me, Paul MacArthur, and then another lady from Taekwondo. And she said to me, why don't you go to the martial arts? And I thought, no. But then my friend is the production manager for the Dome in Doncaster. So it all sort of fell into place. And then when I went over, I bought the tickets from Paul, and then I met Paul MacArthur, and then Phil Williams, my best mate over there, was over there. And it was just sort of like we all connected. It was great. I felt like a bit of a lost shoe walking around because I've never been to one. And then I spoke to, I can't remember. Sorry, I'm having a senior moment. Too many bangs to the head. I remember speaking to somebody. He said, why don't you go speak to Paul and see if you can get a photograph taken with Bill Wallace? I said, why would Bill Wallace have a photograph taken with me? But he did. I gave him a copy of my book, and he was brilliant. He told me what I'm actually sat here looking at the picture now. But, you know, it's one of those things, and I'm really, really pleased that I've actually met these people, and, you know, I'm dead proud of it, you know, because you meet people all the time. And it's sort of opened my sort of exposure to karate as well, because, you know, coming from close protection, we don't get out a lot. You know, I don't compete anymore. I just go and see my instructors and teach and everything. So it's nice to meet people as well.
Oh, what is the greatest thing about this as well. What I like about it is where I found part of my calling when I
Yeah,
started doing um, martial arts.
yeah,
In not just the information, passing on information and interviewing fellow martial artists from all different areas and
yeah,
different disciplines. And it's actually brilliant because, it's one of those great feelings that when you capture it, you can't, it's one of those things that no one can ever take away from you. And when
no,
you meet people like Daz Stirat, Wayne
yeah,
Hunt, Karen Campbell, the Phil Moultons like yourself, and other people, you know, you've had your own experiences, and being able to share that with a community, martial arts community, because I didn't realize how much of a big community we are. It's like
yeah, it's massive.
other
Yeah,
sports, isn't it, Phil?
yeah,
Where you've got, it's like a community where everyone's on the same level plane, where everyone
yeah,
knows that they belong rather than having to try and fit in because of what we do.
yeah. It is, all the things that you said is quite true, and it is like a big family. you know, you don't get on with everyone. I'm not saying everyone's jolly
Mm.
jolly all the time. You're gonna get um, different types of personality. The lady who introduced me was a lady called Gail. Um, I didn't want to say her name, but she's on LinkedIn and Facebook. She's a smashing lady, and she said, "Why don't you come?" And I thought, oh, "Okay." And I've never sort of looked back since. And this for me now is I'm 63 this year, so it's a new the beginning for me because people are asking me about going back into close protection. I still teach it. I'm still teaching it now, so I'm running courses all the time and everything. My last job was last year. It was last year when I was working at the Commonwealth Games. So the last two people I worked with RASP, that's the police, was His Royal Highness Prince Edward and Boris Johnson. So lots of I worked on their security team last year, which I'm really proud of. So I'm still active in a way, but I need to start pushing a little bit more and doing the martial art things and doing things like this is it's sort of opening a few more doors for me. I mean, long gone are the days with the Whitney Houston because that was a long time ago, 98. But it's funny because I've just applied for a job working. There's a Whitney Houston theatre thing being done, and I applied for the job and thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. Anyway, they've just messaged me now to say he's still interested in the job, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. But it's not playing Kevin Costner, by the way. It's probably just lugging some handbags around.
Well, it's fair to say you must have been been the real Frank Farmer. They just didn't put the real name in. You're the real Frank Farmer, aren't you? Really, Phil. Let's face it. You've gone through all these different experiences and that, and what they haven't done is they haven't really said that you've actually started throwing knives at a target in the back garden.
No, I can't throw knives. I mean, I only wear glasses, but just to see the computer. But normally I don't wear glasses. A pal of mine years ago said, "Why are you wearing glasses? Makes you look soft. Take them off." And if I take my glasses off, I can still see you, but I try to look a little bit more intelligent and palm myself down a little bit so I don't look as mean because I've got hardly any teeth left anyway. And that's through fighting. Yeah, I've done a lot. That's the thing. But I always say to people, and I said to Darren Sturrett this morning, I said,
yeah,
never give up. People out there will always have a bash at you about whatever it is, but you've got to really push on. But that's my mentoring. That's my mentoring done for today.
What would you say, in regards to other areas of sort of martial arts now? Would you say that, karate, from what it was, when you first started, has there been any sort of changes been made in terms of like other martial arts that you've probably witnessed yourself, where we're adapting to the times now, where certain things have been added on now, as well as the grassroots old school karate?
Yeah. I mean, I'm nodding my head here, putting my tongue into where all my teeth used to be. So, I mean, I go back. I mean, Bob. I don't know if Bob Syke is still on here because I'm meeting Bob tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, I'm back years ago where we used to wear a groin guard and a smile, and that was it. So there's no pads, and you went hell for leather. And it would, you know, you had a little bit of a hand pad on, which was more like a tubey grip. So you never really had the protection. You've had broken bones, ribs were broken, and everything. So face has been cracked and everything. That's my excuse anyway, and I'm sticking to that. But the martial arts it's changed. It's changed an awful lot, and it has changed. And has it been changed for the good or for the bad? I look at the old when we were like, you're going out every Sunday and you come back and your nose is all over the place. You know, and to me, I love that part. Not that I would say this. It was just that it was that camaraderie that you've got when you're fighting on the mat, and you do scrapping. You switch on, you switch off, and it's not. I won't go into it, but you know, it was more robust. And the sport is a sport, and if you, like I said before, if you're enjoying it and you're getting something out of it, keep going. Things have to evolve because of health and safety. I do some other training as well. I don't just do karate, I do edge weapons training. So because of the close protection, we actually devised a training course for edge weapons, knives, firearms, etc. So we had to teach people about all this sort of thing. So health and safety is one of these things which has dominated us to make sure that we do everything correctly. Like years ago, we used to just get on with it and crack on with it. But because there's that many things going on with people nowadays, you've got to be so careful that you're doing everything correctly.
Goodness, yeah.
Yeah.
With the sort of close protection stuff now,
yeah,
I know a lot of people, they tend to think and feel that when you're doing this type of job, you know, can it be, as intense, as you sort of most people would see, in certain situations where they don't show that, can there be areas that that you think, right, it's not that type of situation where you're going to be in danger, but there could be a potential, you can see something, and then you manage to say to a particular public figure or celebrity, and you said, you know what, if I were you, just to for less argument's sake, would it be possible for you to vacate as soon as possible and using this route, or by doing this, because sometimes prevention is better than the cure.
That's the best
way. So then at least it makes it easier, not just for them, for their own well-being, but also yourself. So you both got that kind of level of great communication between each other, where you know that they'll say to you, right, okay, Phil, I trust in what you're saying, you're doing your job, but thank you, I appreciate that. And then they're on their way, because there must be situations where you thought, that was a close one. That could have ended up worse than what it should be. Yeah,
well, I mean, on the celebrity side of it, that's one thing. I mean, the other side of it was witness protection, where we're looking after witnesses. And some of the jobs that I've been through, I've had a machete pulled on me. I've been firebombed about 5 times on a job, a syringe. But the machete was a lady who produced a machete when I was looking after a probation officer. And basically she actually broke the window first of the place. And then as I chased her out, if you ever speak to my wife, Nadia, she still nags me now for what I did. I actually chased the woman off, and she had a machete because there was people outside and there was young folk out there. And basically we'll thumb lock the door, and then she produced this machete and started carving into things. And it just went into automatic, and they just got the guy to lock the door behind me, and I chased the woman off. She got locked up, she got sectioned. But the police officer who interviewed me obviously took the statement and said, why did you chase? And I said, well, to this day, if you ever speak to Nadia and all the other folk, I never know. but we got firebombed. We had to extract a couple of witnesses out of a job. So it does happen, you know, it really, really does happen. And I'm not frightened of saying it does happen. It does happen. And when you're with celebrities, it's a different thing because you're constantly aware of what's going on about you. There's people who get stalked. There's things that are going on all the time. And there's things that people don't even realise what's happening. And you've just got to get on with it. You know, you get on, you plan, you prevent, you try to take a side way. You're doing everything the best way that you can to avoid confrontation. And that's the sort of things that's our job, to basically prevent it. Don't put people at harm's way. But when it does go wrong, you've got to make sure that you can extract the people straight away, quickly and safely, and for yourself.
What's the sort of most funniest moment you've had during your job? There must have been moments where you thought, "Oh my goodness, it had to happen here." why me? Or you witnessed something and you thought, "Wow, never expected that to happen in my job."
I think if I can't say that one because it's my warped sense of humour. I'll keep that one for a quiet one.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we can do that.
I've got a few funny ones, but I have to keep them for the quiet. I mean, I think the most surreal thing that ever happened to me was, and again, it's a job that I did. It's in my book. I had to look after a certain person of interest, and he was with Sinn Féin from the IRA, and basically he was probably one of the only people who's ever sort of thanked me for doing the job. It was a job that I was required to do, and he had to bring somebody in to help us on it, and it was at Warrington. So, you know, it was a very, very surreal moment. You know, and those are things that we have to do. You have to be professional about things as well. That's the main thing. It's keeping professional, and we're here to do the job. So there's good, there's bad, there's surreal moments. You think you pinch yourself. The Whitney Houston one is always one of those things where you think, did he actually do that job? Did he actually have an argument with Bobby Brown? Did he do this? You know, there's all those things that you actually ask yourself, because it's. And I'm sat in my room now. You can see all my memorabilia. This is the bottom of my garden. It's not a posh place. It's the bottom of my garden where I've got a little bar. That was my 60th birthday present, and I don't drink a great deal, mind you. To get to the point now, I'm actually getting to the point where I am drinking. But this is my memorabilia. This is all my bumfing here, my certificates and my dongs and all I've got all my wall of fame up here and all the other bits and pieces that I've got in here. But this is where I sit sometimes and I sort of reflect and think, you know, you've done quite a lot for a kid from Langley. You know,
good on you, Phil. You know, it's these things, you know, that define us, you know, for what we are and what we do and what we love doing. Because I think it's not always what we think we're going to be. It's what we actually do, isn't it? You know, and then it leads into something else. It opens up to different things. And, you know, that's what you've done. You know, it's all about good timing. You know, it's one of those things as well where, oh, hello. Neil says, sound lovely in there. Nice.
Man cave.
Man cave.
There you go.
Oh, lovely.
There you go. There's all my memorabilia. Well, some of it anyway. There's my pictures. There you go. There you think.
Oh, wow.
There you go. Tour of Moulton's cave.
Moulton's cave.
Everyone's always more than welcome to come round. If you ever get into Manchester, you're more than welcome to come and have a cup of tea with me. Bring your own cake.
Oh, I'll have to ask Meg. Well, my partner, she's a very she does a great cheesecake. So if you like cheesecake, everyone, I'm gonna have to get Meg to sort of make get some cheesecake. So make your list of what types of cheesecake, folks. Let me know, because she's pretty good with making cheesecakes. Let me know, and then I'm sure I'll probably come down one day with some cheesecake, everyone. So yeah, I'm sure she'll probably say to me, "Why did you say that for?" When I get off, she'll say, "You know what happened now? I'm gonna have to make that Japanese sort of cherry blossom cake, or the other cake that cheesecake that she's made." I have to mention it, Phil, because otherwise I'll never live it down if I don't mention the cheesecake. Because I'll
you've
end up eating. I love being a taster as well.
Well, I'll give you that excuse, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, with them, as well as the martial arts and the book, is there any sort of plans, you know, in the future, as well as like another book? Would you consider doing some choreography, be a choreography and you know, be choreographed with certain actors or actresses if you want to be offered of it? Because obviously, you know, you've been with celebrities, you know, from the other side, you know, of the job.
Yeah.
But if you were offered on the flip side, you know, in regards to being like being involved in films and scenes like John Wick, you know, these new films that have been out.
I don't think I could get my leg up that high. No, I'm joking. I'm still quite sub. I've got I can't see it in here. I've actually I did some filming for a friend of mine. He was doing it's a promotion for a company, and he said to me, "Would you do some fight scenes for me?" And I said, "Yeah, okay." He's going back a long time ago, and I will share the picture with you. And it's me dressed up as a musketeer.
Oh,
and he actually, and he said to me, "We're just working out how to kill you, Phil." So I said, "Okay, yeah." And he was basically, it was a musketeer thing, and he had to fight these people. But then he had pyrotechnics, exploding and everything. There was like fireworks going, and I nearly got my head flaming blown off because one of these pyrotechnics went right past me ear. But it's something that I'd love to do. I don't think anyone would ever sort of engage me in doing it because I don't know, maybe I'm too old, but I'd love to get involved in stuff because it's, you know, it's all part of the martial arts. It's also part of the job that I've done. I mean, the documentary that you've seen,
yes,
I'd love to do another documentary, and maybe like a bit of more of a run up to it, and a little bit more in detail, because I really enjoyed doing that. It was good fun. It was hard work, and the people who helped me were amazing people. They volunteered the time. I could only pay them a little bit, but they were fantastic people, you know. And you know, people support you when you need, and that's the main thing as well, isn't it?
No, it's great, Phil. You know, it's in the not just the martial arts, but also when you're having that sort of growth of personal development with other things, like, you know, you're getting involved in the public speaking as well. You know, that's great. You know, being able to do something like that, you know, being able to go out of your comfort zone where you're moving into other areas of open other opportunities of what you do, you know, what you love doing. And it's great because it expands on other areas involving what you do, because you know, sometimes people need to hear certain things of your experiences through your public speaking, you know, and it also makes you realize what kind of range you have as well for being able to see who you could speak to as an audience, you know, and it broadens everything a lot more, doesn't it? And it opens your eyes to sort of
it does
opportunities.
It does. You know, the public speaking is something that I mean, because I teach in front of a lot of people, the classes, the CP courses, the other training courses. And it's something that I enjoy doing. And it's one of those things that I've wanted to do and progress with. You know, I just look at myself as just a person who's getting on with things, and just every moment I do, seize that opportunity and just get on with it. You know, if you think about it too much, you let that opportunity go, don't you? If you think, "Oh, I can't do it," you actually talk yourself out of, "I'm going to do it," rather than saying, "Do you know what, I'm going to." If you fail, you've not failed because you've had a go at doing it. You know, and you know what are you going to do? Get embarrassed? You know, at least you've tried. I mean, I put posts on YouTube and all sorts, and people say, "Oh, it's rubbish and this." But I always say to people, I look forward to seeing yours. And
well, this is it, you know, and you know, it's great that, you know, you're doing these things, Phil, because I used to, when I first started doing the first few episodes of the show, I tried to be this, perfectionist. Whereas, it's more laid back now, the show, where it's open to different audiences, a very mixture of sort of a mix and mash of different things, different topics. That's what I love. It's more of recognizing and highlighting other people's achievements and sort of past things I wouldn't call failures, but more experiences. And the other thing is as well, when what I like in interviews as well, it's more organic rather than scripted. Because you can tell when certain people they'll be like, oh, let me have a look at my notes. What am I going to say next? And you don't, and there's no flow in the conversation. And what I love about live as well, when you go back, when people think they need to pre-edit things, sometimes there's no need because it's more natural.
It is. And it's truthful, isn't it? If you've got a script, you've had to rehearse it. I mean, that documentary, we never rehearsed anything. And for 2 days, I mean, that poor guy and them lot had to put up with me rambling on like a buffoon. But it was good, and because it all comes from your heart. And it's like, and one thing I will say is it's exactly the same thing as a karateka or martial artist. It's got to come from your heart. All these people who profess to do things, and doesn't matter what thing they do, but if you haven't got your heart in it, it's not going to work. Your brain is one thing, but you've got to fight with that passion. You've got to do everything that you do with that passion. It's the same with whatever I do. I mean, I'm the quietest person on earth, and my wife's always giving me the kick up the backside and say, "If I had your skills, why?" And she can't get her head around it, and it's just I don't even know. But when I work and when I do CP or when I'm on karateka, it's completely different. It's a different sort of understanding. But
that's understandable. Yeah, and just to sort of wrap things up, there's 3 great questions I like to ask you. If you was to be a superhero and you had particular powers, what type of superhero would you be?
Oh.
And what type of powers would you have, and what would you use them for?
No, there's a one. Hindsight. Hindsight. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. If you could bottle it, you'd be a millionaire. Mr. Predictor. So, I'm always trying to predict things. My wife's always saying, stop trying to look at things before it's happening. So that's probably me. I'm always looking at hindsight. I wish I would have done this better. So I think my superpowers would have been just get on with it, Phil, and stop moaning. That would be my superpower. Just grasp the moment.
Great answer. And if you were to have 2 choices of a particular person that you'd like to have dinner with, past or present, doesn't matter. They can both be present, they can both be past, or you can have one of each. And you're having dinner, you sat down, and you're picking a particular topic that you like to speak about, that you love speaking about. Who would they be?
I'm going to be boring. I'm going to say my mum.
Oh, bless you.
I lost when I lost my business. I lost my mum, my dad, my sister, my brother, and my niece, all in like a short space of time. And these things that you always want to say to people, and also my brother Jimmy, my foster brother Jimmy. I'd love to have a meeting with him and just have a conversation with him. Other than that, probably Bruce Lee.
Oh, that would be interesting conversation. What he thinks of the way the current sort of situation and climate and the way the world is at the moment.
It was. I think Bruce Lee was one of the pioneers for everyone. For me, I spent most of my youth as a young kid growing up in Chinatown in Manchester.
Oh, Neil Palmer, bless him.
That's not boring, mate. Nice big family meal. Yeah. it would go down well.
Oh yeah, it's great having these. And lastly,
Yep.
if you was to travel anywhere nice, and you didn't have anything else to do, and you thought, do you know what? Pack up your bags, no other commitments, no other worries.
Yeah.
Where would you go to travel?
I'd like to. My wife's Italian, so I like Italy, but I'd love to go to Japan. Ooh. Yeah. I just.
Do you know how ironic that is? Because my partner and I actually want to go there too. How much of a synchronicity is that, Phil?
I'd love to go to Japan just to see and what the dojos were like, how everything, just to see the whole ethos of Japan and the way they are, and because I've heard some really, really lovely stories about it. I'd love to go one day.
Do you know how this is so irony, or whatever you want to call it, Phil? But it's my partner and I, we were discussing this the other day.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know why it wasn't even just pictures, but everything about Japan. It was everywhere. My partner was like, "What's this? Japan, Japan, Japan." Everywhere we were, it was just like some form of
calling,
subliminal messaging, like that. But it wasn't advertising at all. We were just talking about it, and as you mentioned it as well, how much more in sync do we need to be, Phil? It's irony that.
Yeah, cheesecake in Japan, can't go wrong.
Oh, you've done it now. You've got to have both together. While you're there, have a cheesecake while you're in Japan, Phil.
Yeah, there you go.
Japanese cherry blossom.
Well, I'm gonna have to sauce that one out and taste it. Well, I've still got some teeth left, and see what it's like. I will get some teeth done one day, but I'm scared of the dentist. And now I've done karate and a bodyguard, still scared of the dentist.
Oh my goodness! Wow, no, that's fair enough. There's, I think there's other things as well. With, I think, what was it? Spiders, for example. I've seen certain people now. I think most people, there's like this great big guy that looks like Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Yeah.
And He-Man, and he said to me, "Oh, get that creepy crawly 8-legged thing away from." Huh?
Yeah.
I was confused, and he said, "No, don't judge me. I know I look meaner and big as I am, but no, I don't like. Get those things away from me." I was like, "Wow."
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I just picked it up.
You're a braver man than me. Braver man than me.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, just to wrap things up, Phil.
Yeah.
I thought, hang on a minute. The time that we got here, I just wanted to get this one question, because I know for a fact I wanted to ask this myself.
Yeah.
With having a book out, what did it feel like being able to officially? Because I know it's different, isn't it? When you're talking and thinking about it, but when you actually receive the book in your hand, and it's fresh, just like like a child with a toy when it's first, when you first encounter a toy, when you've opened it up. Birthdays, Christmases, all in one.
Yeah.
How did that feel to you? Being able to, open it up and then you received it and you thought, you know what? This is real. This is actually happening. Yeah. It's happened.
Yeah. Yeah. It took a while for me to sink in, to be quite fair, because you get what you call an author's copy. I got an author's copy first, which is like a draft. And I remember sitting looking at it and thinking, I can't believe that's mine. And I've got to be honest, Phil, it took me a long time to sit and read my own book. I've never actually sat and read my own book. I had to read it before they edited it. But when I sit down and I read it, and it sounds daftish, but you get a little bit embarrassed because you're thinking, God, what have I done? I wrote a book. And it's a wonderful feeling, I've got to say that. I mean, I've probably given more books away than I've actually sold. I've not got the idea of selling books yet. But I am going to sell some. So if anyone's listening to the UK martial arts show, please buy a book, because I've just shelled out a load of money, and it'd be nice to sell a few. So no, I'm not daft. But yeah, it's a wonderful feeling. I always say to people, write your own book and get it done. It's so easy nowadays, and you don't have to go to one of these expensive. You can go anywhere, and you get the support. But it's an amazing feeling, because it's there forever, isn't it? It's in the British Library. I'll just read. Can I just read this one very quickly to you?
Yeah, sure. Look, take your time, Phil. Take your time. Read that bit for us.
All right. So I'm not getting all soft about it, by the way. It's not me genre to become soft. It was actually, there was a forward written. So I've put like an acknowledgement to, and even though I wrote a book, I'm not very good at reading. Okay, so I've just put, I would like to thank, no, I won't put all that because it's just a bit blurb, but it says, basically, the thing that he says, Phil Moulton, the bodyguard, my dream was to teach others on how to look after themselves and also to protect people who are being bullied or intimidated. I've had the privilege of protecting people from all over the world, and there is nothing more rewarding than knowing a person is safe because of the things he's put into place.
That's brilliant, that, Phil.
And that's what I've put in the book. I've done a couple of acknowledgements and everything, and I thank people for allowing me to look after them, because at the end of the day, it's got to be their cooperation that I look after these people. Sometimes they don't get a choice, but sometimes they do.
Well, this is it. It's part of that in life, where I think I learned a lot more later on up to now.
Yeah.
That you do get more and more people that do recognize what you do, but it's more of, it's not a volume, in masses. It's more of
quality.
Exactly, it's the quality. And then when you get that kind of quality, you get that back as well, because then you realize, whatever you're pushing out there,
you're going to get back.
You're going to get back as well tenfold, because a lot of the time when you're feeling, I've had this sort of sense of feeling before where, and rightly so, on my previous episode, thank you very much again, Neil Palmer, on my last episode, you mentioned that I think when you hold something and you take it too personally, sometimes you think that because you've held it, you've got so much, it's like a build-up. You're building it. And then I eventually got to the point in my life where I got one of those, just metaphorically speaking, one of these sort of massive, like a Thor hammer thing, mallet, and just completely, psychologically, just completely demolished it. Because I realized, I thought, what is the point in harboring all of this? Because I took it quite personally in certain things. I like to be a perfectionist. But then when I realized that there was no need, I felt more at ease, and I felt very different. And I didn't take it personally either, because that's why now I just laugh at things, because most of the stuff that make me laugh, I don't take it personally. And certain things you can't help and control out how other people feel either, because there's certain reasons they might be, going through their own challenges in their own life. And the last thing they want is having someone add to it, and I love the fact that, we get the opportunity to show people what we love doing, but also not projecting back, pushing back how they're feeling back onto them, and rather than reflecting it, you kind of taking it away from them, deflecting it out sideways, and then making them feel, more welcomed and appreciative of what you're doing for them, because, I learned that in such a hard way, and martial arts, I must say, has saved me a lot. And,
but it saved an awful lot of people, Phil. That's what we've got to be thankful for. So every day's a learning day. It's a new school day, isn't it?
Oh yeah, of course it is. And I appreciate everyone, that I've sort of got to know, not just through my interviews, off the show, and it may continue, and being part of the martial arts community out there as well.
Yeah.
And thank you very much, everybody. I really loved, having everybody getting involved in the Phil Carew Show 2.0, and no doubt there'll probably be a lot more in the foreseeable future as well. Hearing more about other people's stories, and that's what it's about. Sharing and being able to give other people that opportunity to be heard, of their life experiences. It's a beautiful thing, Phil. Being able to share. Because sometimes people we all get shut off, and then other people might want to hear what you have to say, and what you've gone through, and others might think, well, actually, that sounds quite interesting. I would never have thought that happened, and that sounds quite good. And then they'll see that in your book as well. It'd be great when they see, what you have to offer in regards to what you've gone through, in your, not just your close protection work, but your life experiences outside the dojo as a martial artist and an author now.
Author.
Oh, you never live that down, will you, Phil? I think just becoming an author, and having your own book now, it will sink in eventually.
Yeah, eventually. I don't think it ever will do, but I just look at myself as just a person who does a job. That's all I've always sort of looked at myself. There you go. I'm happy and proud, but one day it'll sink in. I just sit here enough times and think, well, you've done a bit.
Well, this is it. No, and we all appreciate it. Those sort of fellow martial artists and sort of non-martial artists that will have the opportunity to read your book and even meet you in person in the foreseeable future. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in on the Phil Carew Show 2.0. I must let Phil Moulton go, because I know he's such a busy man himself, and he's got other things to do, as well as being a fellow martial artist. So check him out. He's not just on Facebook, but he's also on LinkedIn as well, because of his sort of other connections of what he does. He's a great martial artist. Check him out. He's also going to be, if you're interested still, those who haven't got the tickets yet, at the UK Martial Arts Show at Doncaster, the Doncaster Dome, on the 6th and 7th of May. So after I've finished, I'm going to put down a link. Feel free to click, and don't forget to subscribe. Press the button, subscribe, comment, and like. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. And
thank you very much.
And it's a real honor. Excuse me, Phil. It's a real honor, Phil Moulton, and I hope to see you in the foreseeable future on another episode in the Phil Carew Show 2.0.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Phil. Thanks for your time, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye.